But I'm just saying we're just not prepared. And,
Yes,
and
we're
what's
not.
what's really interesting is technology has, I think, since the beginning of time, been ahead of the curve. We invent something, we come up with something, and then we figure out, how do you use this?
Right.
Like, they don't know what the
I
implementation.
think some people do, and that's the real fear. Some people, like this guy who's advocating for a digital god, like they do know where it's going because they actually work in technology and it's not freaking them out.
But it's like Columbus, like everybody thought the world was flat. He got a couple of people to get on a boat and we didn't know what that was going to mean.
See if we can find where Elon talks about this part, because that was the most fascinating to me.
I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all
So this is what he said earlier, but it's going to continue.
Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him.
You got to realize these are the people that are at the pinnacle of technology,
and they're having slumber parties.
The perception was that Larry was
very
not
aware.
taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, artificial general intelligence, or artificial superintelligence. And I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take a set of actions that maximize the probability it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things.
Yes.
It can't just be hell for leather. Let's just go, barreling forward and, hope for the best. And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here. And
I go laugh.
And then he called me a speciesist.
Did he use that term?
Yes. And there were witnesses. I wasn't the only one there when he called me a speciesist. And so I was like, okay, that's it. Yes, I'm a speciesist. Okay. You got me. What are you? Yeah, I'm fully a speciesist.
That's a funny
busted.
line.
Busted.
So that was the last straw. At the time...
How wild is that?
It is wild.
But these are the people that are in control of this thing. And I think there's also this race that's going on. There's all these different companies around the world that are trying to develop artificial general intelligence first. Because I think having it first, if you have a digital god first, you have a massive advantage over everyone and everything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that tech companies have a lot of power now, imagine if tech companies unleash a digital god. I mean, they literally might be the very seeds that create a god.
I really believe that now the digital universe is probably the most sought after god. Most people probably spend more time advocating for whatever they're seeing online anywhere than they do for their church or their that I think that already exists. People like Elon see that, and there should be a race for it. I don't see it as, everything can have a really dark, bad side, and we can't control it. So I think even talking about it the way you're talking about it is scary, and I don't know that it's...
Can I scare you with this?
Let's scare me with this.
This is on 60 Minutes last night. They did a whole piece.
Oh, that's right. I saw this. One AI program spoke in a foreign language it was never trained to know. This mysterious behavior called emergent properties has been happening, where AI unexpectedly teaches itself a new skill.
Like a minute in, he says something that I think is pretty
This is bananas.
Go ahead.
This is on CBS.
Is called emergent properties. Some AI systems are teaching themselves skills that they weren't expected to have. How this happens is not well understood. For example, one Google AI program adapted on its own after it was prompted in the language of Bangladesh, which it was not trained to know.
We discovered that with very few amounts of prompting in Bengali, it can now translate all of Bengali. So now all of a sudden, we now have a research effort where we're now trying to get to 1,000 languages.
There is an aspect of this which we call, all of us in the field call it as a black box. You don't fully understand. And you can't quite tell why it said this or why it got wrong. We have some ideas, and our ability to understand this gets better over time, but that's where the state of the art is.
You don't fully understand how it works, and yet you've turned it loose on society?
Yeah, let me put it this way. I don't think we fully understand how a human mind works either.
Was it from that black box we wondered that...
That's pretty good. Unless you want the rest of this is about what they're talking about earlier.
What else are they saying here?
That's like he wrote a poem and they're asking why did it write that way.
But why does that scare you guys so much? Why does that?
Listen, it's alive. It's not whether or not it's scary. It's a kind of life form.
But here's the thing. I am really fearful of humanity. I'm really afraid of us.
Let's hope that's not afraid of us too. Decides to get rid of us.
Well, or make us better, or you know,
Sure.
and that's a 50-50. And I would like to, you know, I have enough negativity, and I'm not talking, it's not about me, but going on in my mind where if I don't know, and I'm assuming that it is a higher power than me, not God, but it is a higher power than me, that maybe for whatever reason, let's trust that it is a benefit and not a you know, not something that's horrible.
Well, I certainly hope. I hope it's a benefit.
What you just played for me didn't scare me. It doesn't scare me. The fact that it is artificial intelligence. What is intelligence? Just by virtue of what it is. So it's learning things that we can't explain. It's intelligence. That's what intelligence is.
I think we're using this word in a weird way, the word scared. Because I don't think that it's scared like I'm scared of wolves. It's not that kind of scared. It's scared like,
that will be totally...
"Ooh-wee, I realize where this is going. And it might not even
but
be
you
in
didn't
our
describe
lifetime.
a good place.
Well, it's not a good place for us, but maybe it's a good place for the universe. Maybe
you
it's
invest
a good
in
place
Bitcoin?
for life.
Do you invest in Bitcoin?
I've got some Bitcoin.
Okay. So
But I think, but that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about maybe this is what happens with intelligence everywhere. That maybe intelligence realizes there's limitations to biology, and biological evolution is very time consuming. It takes a long time, and to get adaptation, for things to change, it takes decades, it takes centuries, it takes thousands of years. But this could happen in weeks and hours and minutes, and especially if it knows how to make a better version.
And you don't think that's scary, what you just proclaimed.
You keep saying scary. I think
do.
It's just the thing that's happening. And I think
But you have children.
Yes, we will continue to exist. But I feel like this was inevitable. Just like there's inevitable things that happen in nature that we don't want to admit. You don't want to say they're scary. They're just inevitable.